Okay, so Atina, can you unmute your phone for us?
Hello,
Okay, greetings, greetings. How you doing, Atina?
I'm good. I hope you're doing all right.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Now, uh, before we even begin, now we spoke earlier and we spoke before, right? And you did something earlier, right? And I'm going to tell you something. I noticed this earlier, but I didn't say anything. You sound different than you did previously. How do you actually feel?
I feel pretty good
You do.
besides for that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, for the audience's sake, what brings you? What state are you in?
North Carolina.
Okay, and what brings you on the show today?
Today, I was on the show before, and you had gave me some tips. I only took one of them so far, and that was to change the color of clothing I wear
Oh,
from like all black to mauve, and I chose lavenders, and that's all of that. That's good. Like um everybody been like noticing the color change because I was that part was good. I didn't go talk to a therapist or anything, but I was feeling pretty good. But the one thing that was bothering me was about getting a shot, and I was real adamant about not getting it, but I ended up taking the first one today because I felt like I was running out of options, and so I went ahead and took it, and I cried the whole time while I took it, but I did do it.
I'm glad that you brought this up because I wasn't going to say anything at all unless you did. So, so continue on. Continue. 'Cause that's not actually a question. So you just kind of more so made a comment, but continue on. Is there actually a question, or is it really just a release?
Well, I just the comment that I wanted, the reason why I wanted to be on the show again was to let you know, like even though I only took one of well, two of them, meditate and I already do that on a regular basis. So I've um been doing that and the changing the colors, and like I did see up and I did see a different aspect up until like today when I call it punked out for the shot. But the other part, like as far as like the last time when I called, I asked the question, should I be in a relationship? And like now I can actually see that I shouldn't be in a relationship, not right now, because it's not good for me and I need to focus more on myself.
I'm glad that you see that for yourself because one thing is if anybody can say anything they want to say, but you need to see what is happening within yourself so that you can make those important changes to be the best version that you can be, right?
Yeah.
hmm So, okay, so I'm gonna make a couple comments here. So for the audience's sake, even though that what you said was more, it's more of a expression, right? You just expressed that you've noticed some difference in the color suggestion, okay, and you come to even some self-realizations because of those suggestions at this point, right? But one of the biggest, which is fantastic, so let's give you a
Yes, queen.
okay, and so, but okay, so okay, so for the audience sake, I'm going to use certain words like, you'll know what I'm talking about as I go along. So Atina, our guest here, her one of her jobs was asking the employees to get what we know is happening, right? But she didn't have to right then. Okay, it wasn't like she had to get it like today or she would have no job. She had time. And so, for whatever reason, she decided to go there. And when she was there, she had mentioned that she had sat down and she started crying. And even whoever was about to give her that, what we know is, even asked her, "Are you sure you want to do this right now?" Remember, her job is not, it's not like the job is saying, even people who do it for their job, whatever, not saying you have to get it right now today or you're not going to have a job. So she had time. And even the spirit was working in someone that told her. So you have to also recognize I want to call them opportunities, but one has to not be in their emotions to such a high degree that one cannot see what may be taking place around them that could potentially help them. So, an example, as she was sitting there, again, this person asks, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And so she could have said, "No, what? I'll do this later. I don't have to do this right now." And she would not have, because I'm about to show you also something, because, again, well, why jump into the pot of fire if you don't have to right at that time, right? And so even she had mentioned that she even at the time, because she felt something was off with it, she tried to call a bunch of people, I guess, for moral support, right? For them, for she was doing, for them to tell her, "Don't do it," then she would have got up and left. Because she could not get in contact with those people, she ended up doing it. But she didn't have to. So when it comes to spiritual warfare, first off, spiritual warfare is real, especially if you're coming from a religious background. Okay, no matter what religion you are, whether you the main three, Christian, Muslim, or even part of the Judaism crowd, still all of them have major spiritual aspects, regardless if you believe it or not. And in short, spiritual warfare is real. And so, but also not just the warfare between the sides of the coin, but also the helpers. If you believe that the spirit world is real, then there are helpers who would try to. They can't make you do something, but they can suggest. It's up to you to be aware enough to be able to hear that suggestion. And so, it's kind of interesting she did that. Now, when I called her to confirm the show, I called her literally 5 minutes after it happened. Now, she might not notice, but she sounds different to me than the first time we spoke. That's why I asked, "Is she okay?" So, and I noticed that immediately when I picked up the phone. I was going to say, because I thought she was, well, nevertheless, that's just that. So, what I want to, and thank you all for the super chats. There are people putting in super chats here in the chat room. I do appreciate that. So we're going to get into some deep stuff tonight. And I'm going to show you why that you just don't let things necessarily just go on forever. But if you don't have to do something that's drastic like that, remember, you don't want anything breaking your skin, okay? And we're going to get into why from a different metaphysical perspective. And just as a disclaimer, everything we talk about on the show, we may give some real world just examples of things, but it's just a coincidence if it seems that we're actually talking about the real world. Everything here is metaphysical. This is a metaphysical conversation, and if something seems very similar or like I'm talking about something in the real world, that is just a coincidence. Okay? So I'm about to show you an image here. So first image I'm going to show you here, you should see it on the screen now, is from OSHA. Okay? OSHA, of course, many of you know in your workplace, all over the place, well, it's pretty much in most workplaces, even in jobs that is office related jobs, you'll have an OSHA in the employee break room or something like that. You'll have an OSHA poster on the wall. And OSHA just announced employers who mandate the issue may be held liable for any adverse reaction, and this was posted on May 19th, 2021. That's directly from OSHA. So this is the thing. One thing is if there was a weapon towards someone's head and they're making someone do something. I mean, you know, that's your decision. One thing is if, like literally they say you're going to be fired right now. In many cases, many legal experts are saying that if that's the case, let them fire you because you actually have a case and you could sue the crap out of them. In short, okay, but you have to let them fire you. Okay, you cannot prematurely quit, or you cannot do what they're asking because what they're asking you to do is against literally the law. Period. And you could Google it. I'm giving you enough information for anyone in the audience to Google yourself. Okay, so I'm showing you an example here of OSHA, what they said directly, and I'm going to show you also what's happening in New York here. And thank you, shout out to you know who you are who came up with this right before the show, because yeah, we could use it on the show for others to see. So right now there are all over New York, there are people out starting to massively protests because of the passports and stuff like that, right? I'm also going to show you something else. I'm about to share my screen, and you're going to see something else, and this one is in Chicago. See, that's why you don't want to jump prematurely. Now, just so you know, these things that are happening is partially due to what the organization that you love, right? The different metaphysical kung fus that are happening in the background. All right, and you're going to see a major one later this week. Okay, so there are many, well, there are at least one that you know of for a fact that's fighting a good fight. I'll just put it like that because there's not many, but there are some who are in one that you know specifically here, an organization here that's fighting a good fight, and that's the reason why I really appreciate you all, and it's because you're not followers. Okay, we appeal to you, we purposely metaphysically do this on purpose. We purposely appeal to your higher consciousness. Okay, not the animal brain, not the fight, flee, feed, and fornicate. Okay, people who tend to want to appeal to people from that angle are typically people trying to take advantage of people. They are the muwa. Okay, so we appeal to your higher consciousness, and hopefully you resonate with it, and in so you patronize. Okay, and that's like saying a thank you. So we give forth more higher thought forms, you come back with more patronage, right? So it's a win-win on both angles, right? We're not trying to appeal to that animal side at all, right? And so with that, but that's the difference between followers and those who patronize. Those who patronize, we're asking you, while we appeal to your higher consciousness, we're asking you to stand up. Like in the movie 300, right? Leonidas was talking to that man who was really malformed. He wanted to join the army of the 300 as a fighter, and Leonidas said to him, "We require you to stand." I'm going to mute you, Atina. I'm just going to mute you real quick. Yeah. So Leonidas said to the malformed man, pretty much in short, we appreciate your effort, your wanting to slay the Persians, but we require you to stand. And because he could not stand, he just had to do menial tasks. Then he went over to the Persian side and betrayed the Spartans. And the supposed God king, but he said to him, I don't require you to stand. I just require that you kneel. Okay? It's much easier to kneel than to stand. It's much easier to fall down than to stand up. It's much easier to go downhill than to go uphill. Okay? Many people that you see all around who hold this pestilence, they actually want, and they have followers, and they want followers because they want to be looked at as God kings and God queens. Okay? They want everyone to bend the knee. Know the difference. Okay? In giving, when he went to this supposed Persian god king, and whose name was Xerxes, it was like Xerxes or something like that, right? What did Xerxes do? He appealed to his lower animal consciousness by kneeling. He said he'd give him anything he wants, money, and specifically women, okay, and things of that nature, appealing to his animal nature, okay? So stay woke, everybody. So I'm about to share my screen here of another thing. Now this is a doozy that has come out of Chicago, and thank you for, you know who you are, who shared this link to me. So I'm about to share my screen to you all. So we just even started. We haven't got to the next caller here. Next caller is Porter. So Porter, you're going to come up next. As usual, I ask, are you enjoying the show thus far? Okay, we've only been on for about an hour, but are you enjoying the show thus far? If you are enjoying the show, hit 1 in the chat room. Okay, type 1 in the chat room if you're enjoying the show thus far. So I'm about to share my screen here so you can see something very specific. All right, one moment here. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here. All right, so you should see a little bit better there. Okay, so you should see on the screen, this is from Fox News in Chicago, right? And it says, Chicago Police Union 100% against the mandate for officers. They say specifically, hell no. Hell no, to the no, no, no. Okay, this is the police saying it. Now, you know the police are gang, right? So, so if they're saying they're not going to do it, guess what? That's a really big obstacle now, okay? You see the official, you've seen it here yourself. That's why there's no need to jump into. There are some powerful. There's not a lot of Jedi. Okay, it's not a lot of Jedi. It's not a lot of old guard. Okay, but still, there's a few who are trying their best to make certain movements. Okay, and try to give people more time. Okay, so it says here, after Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot said all city employees, okay, it's not, let me show here, it should be showing on the screen. One moment here, I want to make sure you see it. Okay, there it is. You should see it on the screen now. So it says, after Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot said all city employees would absolutely be required to get it, the leading police union vowed to take action in court against if such mandate is announced. We are 100% against mandated for our members. The Chicago Fraternal Order of Police president, whose union represents rank and file police officers, said in a statement to Fox 32. The thing that we're talking about has no studies for long-term side effects or consequences. None. He continued in a similar statement to the Chicago Sun-Times on Tuesday. Okay, to mandate anybody to get this without that data as a baseline, amongst other issues, is a hell no for us. Negotiations about the specifics of a vaccine. Oh, I don't want to mention that because so don't mention the actual names or anything like that during this podcast because it gets flagged and stuff. So mandate are ongoing with several unions, and Lightfoot has not announced when such a requirement for some 33,000 city employees would take effect. Okay. So see, the MUWA got so arrogant that they, instead of targeting other low-hanging fruit, for whatever reason, their arrogance wanted to target pretty much their enforcement arm. Okay, because in the metaphysical world, the enforcement arm of the Draconians and the Archons are these entities. Okay, so you see it for yourself. Okay, you see it for yourself. So I'm going to unshare my screen here. So we're going to get deeper into some aspects of this from a metaphysical, from a really deep or a deeper metaphysical angle that deals with people and entities and stuff like that shortly. So let me bring back up the main screen here. All right, so that's going fine. So, so Atina, back to you here. Do you understand why at times you just gotta not get nervous? Just gotta just allow things to at times just play out. It's not like somebody's gonna literally hurt you. It's not like somebody's gonna say, like, somehow harm you in some way. Especially if you have time. Do you understand that?
No, I'm trying to, but I guess that go with the mistrust that like to a certain point, because it's ever since they said they was gonna have a vaccine, I already had in my mind that I wouldn't take it. But at one job they were showing us films like every day we had to have a meeting, and they were showing all the unvaccinated people a video of why they should get vaccinated. And
Okay. Don't say that word too many times.
okay,
Hmm.
well, but
Hmm.
I've just felt like it was they was wearing me down.
See, and this is why, and I think I do appreciate your honesty with this, right? Because this is a growing, even though you had to subject yourself to it all, okay? Still, it's a growing experience, hopefully for yourself for the future, but also for many others who are listening. We are in a place where spiritual warfare most definitely is taking place. You understand what I'm saying? And you have to be, your spirit has to be strong, and that's why the tactics, mostly everything we talk about for years. Many of you have been listening for years, and pretty much since the Grand Master, Dr. David Blair, ascended. That's pretty much what we've been on. Strengthening your spirit, strengthening your mind and your spirit, and then your body. Okay? And so you have to meditate all the time. You have to practice. There's no point of saying you're spiritual or doing certain practices if you're not going to actually put it into effect around you. Okay? When you know that, so for example, let me give you an example of this. Certain aspects of recognizing and think of, many of you all are putting tons of super chats in there. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody who's putting those super chats out there. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Is a Queen. Thanks, Penny. Appreciate it. Most definitely. So, so going back to it. So the thing about it is that people want powers and all this other stuff, okay? And I get it. It seems, you want to be like X-Men and Doctor Strange and all that other stuff. I mean, I get that, right? But the whole thing is that there are certain prerequisites that happen well before any of that. One prerequisite that ends up happening is your ability to trust yourself. You got to be able to trust yourself. But not only just that. Be able to trust yourself without having to have the input from someone outside of you. Now, we all could use help at times. We all could use the advice of others at times. But in the end, it's only you. And in the end, you're going to have to make that decision, whatever that decision may be. And many, many more important and critical decisions are going to come for all of us. Okay? You're going to have to be strong enough to be able to withstand the pestilence. So, do you have, there's a book we have on the website called Book One Lessons. Do you have that book, Atina? Atina, do you have that book on the website? I did mute you, just so you know. Okay.
No, I don't have it.
Okay. That's a book that you actually need to work through. Okay, it's not much. It's like $14.95. Okay, and you start at lesson 1. Even if you feel you've done it before, even if you feel you don't need to do it, you do it anyway. Okay,
And what's the name of the book?
It's called Book 1 Lessons. That's what it's called. Book 1 Lessons. And you will find it under the under shop and then under books, and you will find it there. That book was written years ago specifically for these times. Okay. Also, I suggest a tea, Be Well. Okay. That tea is very strong. You don't drink that every day. Okay. Maybe at this point once a week. Because I'm noticing something. Maybe you don't notice it yet, but I'm noticing it clear as day. So, and so that's just that. So I know you listened to the show for a while. So at this point, I'm going to move on to the next caller. But if any other concerns come up, if it's time, which I think at this point, because it's only 8:08 right now, so it may be time toward the end of the show. And if there's any other concerns that come up, you're welcome to voice those opinions or those concerns. And I thank you for sharing, Atina. That was very honest of you to do that. So do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One village.
What does that mean?
Where I'm from, every man and woman cares for every child. It is our duty to make sure every child is safe.